Our next guest became incredibly famous, culturally famous, but never wanted it, right? Nearly 30 years ago, all of a sudden she's a pop icon. How do you deal with it? What do you do next? And now she's got a career that's turned into something. She's got a brand new show where she plays a cop in her hometown of Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, Jennifer-Beals is on her way in. Here's her bio.
All right, when future historians look back at the 1980s, they might wonder what was going on with all the ripped sweatshirts hanging off the shoulders and the leg warmers. Well, this was a big part of it. Flashdance, What a Feeling. That's the film that made Jennifer-Beals a star, which was awkward because she never really wanted to be famous. Here's her story. Jennifer was born in the early 60s on Chicago's south side. Her mom was white, her dad was African-American, and growing up, Jennifer felt like a bit of an outsider. At 16, she started to model to pay for college, and then suddenly, everything changed. During her freshman year at Yale, she was one of 4,000 candidates going out to be in this movie called Flashdance. And out of the 4,000, Jennifer got it. She was the lead, and it was a huge hit. Years later, still part of pop culture. I'm a maniac, maniac on the floor. But after Flashdance, Jennifer did something almost unheard of in Hollywood. She actually just went back to school. That was it. Went back, finished her degree at Yale, turned down movies. A few years later, got back into the films, did some indie stuff, then landed a role that kickstarted the second act of her career, The L Word.
I'm sorry.
A groundbreaking series about openly gay women, which had barely existed on television before. Now, when the show wrapped, Jennifer went back to her hometown in a new series, The Chicago Code. It was created by Sean Ryan, the guy behind The Shield, and follows Chicago cops through the city's underbelly as they fight crime and expose corruption.
You can draw a direct line from government corruption to street crime, especially drugs and robberies.
Please welcome Jennifer-Beals. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
What's happening?
Oh, just, I get to come to Canada. That was really exciting.
Nice to be around here.
Yes. Well, I lived in Vancouver for a long time. I still have a place there, but I thought maybe immigration might want to be testing me for drugs. I was so excited to get across the border.
Well, if they haven't, they sure will the next time. Leaving Vancouver, leaving a series when you're on it for a long time, a bittersweet moment. It's great because you get new opportunities, but it's going to suck because you're closing a lot of doors too. But restarting a new series, what was that experience like?
Well, in between the two series, I was fortunate enough to do Book of Eli and a really wonderful film called Night for Dying Tigers that I shot in Vancouver, and I got to work on Lie to Me, so I got to meet Sean Ryan and work with him, and so that transition into doing the Chicago Code was, I think, a little bit easier than just coming right off the L Word.
Well, this is interesting because you have to go back to Chicago. So this is a city you know very well.
Yes, I'm from Chicago.
Is it rougher now than it was then?
Well, I can't tell really because I left when I was 18. So I don't really know whether it's rougher out on the streets. Certainly the Chicago that I get to see playing this part is much rougher than the Chicago that I experienced when I was a young woman.
And so how did you get to know the Chicago?
Through doing ride-alongs with Chicago police officers.
Do you go up cops at night?
Yeah, I'm hanging out with the cops at night. That's true. I put on the Kevlar vest, I sign a piece of paper, so something awful happens to me, it's not their fault. And then I go out with them, and you don't stay in the car. You get out of the car and you're with them every step of the way.
At any point when you got out and ran with the cops, did you have the theme from Cops in your head? At any point?
No, but when the siren goes on and they're, like a bat out of hell, yeah, there's sort of that feeling, well, gosh, anything could happen.
It's interesting, you talked earlier about choices you made and the kind of career you built. Do you look at your career in retrospect, or do you look at it as a plan?
Oh, I'm not planned at all. Nothing is a plan. I just really try to follow my heart the best I can with the choices that I'm given and the things that excite me and challenge me.
Has your heart ever led you astray in the career?
No, but having to pay the mortgage has. But not my heart. My heart has not led me astray.
So after Flashdance broke, you chose to stay in school, right?
Yes.
How many people make that decision? You know that whole idea, strike while the iron is hot?
Yes,
You chose to stay.
Well, because I love school. And, frankly, I was good at it, so it sort of made sense.
I think if you had, when you were young, when you had that first exposure to the general public, can you imagine what that would be like if you're 19 or 20 today?
Oh my gosh, I don't know how they go through it. I don't know how they go through it with that kind of scrutiny. You know, you're trying to build who you are. You're trying to, you know, live your life as fully as possible. And it's very difficult when you feel people are watching you, because you can't make a mistake. You can't be free to make a mistake, and mistakes are so important.
You have an interesting relationship with fame too, because if you look at the choices you've made, you're clearly not out there to grab it, but just the sheer result of what you do, you've got it. A couple of successful shows, yeah. And so there it is in front of you. What's your relationship like with your own fame?
It's useful in getting a job, and maybe in getting a table at a restaurant. But other than that, I don't really have a great value to it. You know, I don't attach a great value to it. I never, you know, went after fame or money, really, for that matter, and that became really evident at those moments when I had to take a job for the mortgage. And that's not to say I don't like money, because I really do, but you know, you really have to give your heart and soul over to a film or a television show, and I just wanted to be mindful as to what I was giving myself over to.
As you get into the second stage of your life as an actor, can you relate to all the things that people say that roles dry up for people who get older, men and women, specifically women? I mean, you're clearly getting work, but do you see a change as you get older in the business?
I've just been incredibly fortunate, and I think there is a shift of awareness that people are interested in stories about people who are over, you know, the age of 12. You know, and I think Sandra Bullock, you know, drove that point home a couple years ago with Blind Side and The Proposal, and, you know, and Meryl Streep, and all kinds of people have proven that there are still stories to tell, and that a woman over 40 is viable in all kinds of arenas.
Do you know when you're on a show like The L Word that its impact is really going to be felt separate from the fact that it's a TV show?
I had always hoped that it would, even when we first started. And I think sometimes that would make Eileen Chaikin, the show's creator, uncomfortable, because it is such a crapshoot whether or not a show is allowed to continue. But, you know, my feeling was, even if we only went for a few episodes or one season, that if we could address the needs of one young woman in some town somewhere who did not have access to her community as a lesbian, that I would be happy, and that the show would have performed a service. And the fact that we got to stay on for 6 years and give a whole group of people who were heretofore invisible in pop culture a place in pop culture, however imperfect, was incredibly gratifying. I think the Chicago Code is not dissimilar in that way. To be able to play the first female superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, I think, is really interesting and could be impactful to a lot of women and maybe educate a lot of men.
Like what Chicago will talk about women, we'll find out who's Chicago's biggest icon, Obama or Oprah. They're both washing. We'll get it. Plus the occupational hazards of working at an ice cream store. Anthropology with Jennifer-Beals when we come back. On the show. All right, so Anthropology, flat out, biggest icon from Chicago, Obama or Oprah?
That's a hard one. I don't know. I want to say Obama, but it could be Oprah.
Isn't that crazy that you have the first black president, and that's not the obvious choice? That just speaks to her power.
I know, and she's amazing. She's amazing.
When you got this show and you got to Chicago, did you have to get a phone call from her saying I approve you here? It's like, you know, like a leader of a community. Did you have any of that?
No, but I did get to meet her recently, and that was really kind of wonderful. She's a really lovely and very grounded person.
Nice. You have a degree in American literature, right? So what's one book that one must read?
Walt Whitman, Leaves of Grass.
That's a beautiful.
It is.
Okay.
I used to travel with it all the time.
Used to? No more?
Yes. Well, it got so worn. I need a new copy.
e-reader. You're not an e-reader kind of person?
No, I like the pages.
Oh, there you go. Would you have been as quick to sign up to this show if it had been called the Anchorage, Alaska Code?
If I got to play this character and I knew that they had a good budget for the right gear, then sure.
Cubs or White Sox?
Don't make me. I can't answer that question. It will cause a rift in my family.
But it's a big part of this show.
I can't.
It comes up in the first 2 episodes. It comes up.
You don't understand. I cannot answer that question. That's how serious a question that is.
But I'm not
I've
asking
been
you to
honest
deny
with
Jesus.
you the entire time. Don't make me. I can't.
So
I
there's a
grew
rift
up
in
on
your
the
home.
south side, and then we moved to the north side. Okay, the Sox are on the south side, the Cubs are on the north side. I can't.
It causes anxiety for you over here.
It does. Let me just say my mother is a Cubs fan.
Right. You know what that means.
She's indoctrinated my daughter. My daughter is a Cubs fan.
If your daughter came to you one day and said, Mom, I want to get into acting, presumably she hasn't, how would you react to that?
I'd say wait until you're 18.
Yeah. And if she said, I'm doing it anyway?
Well, God bless, but I'm not driving you to the audition.
Nice. Blackhawks or Bulls?
Blackhawks or Bulls? Well, I'm going to have to go Blackhawks because, you know, I'm married to a Canadian. It's all about hockey.
You did the right thing there.
Okay, thanks.
How long did you work at Baskin-Robbins?
Oh, gosh, not very long. A few months.
Did you suffer any arthritis or any injuries from rolling out?
No, but I do remember getting really depressed and going into the storage room and opening the peanut butter and vanilla and just, like, eating out of, like, a thing like this big.
But you lied about your age to get the job, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
How old were you, like 13?
I was 13 and said I was 16, and they all told me how mature I was for my age.
Nice.
Yes.
And why were you depressed?
Because it was so boring.
When was the last time you wore a leotard?
Oh, my Lord. Gosh, probably 1983.
Nice. Do you recognize that girl in the poster from 1983?
Yes. And she's in dire need of conditioner. Yes.
Well, so you have this really interesting reality for yourself, I think, where you're in this really important film, but most people now remember you from this TV series that you were on, The L Word,
Yeah.
as opposed to Flashdance. Well, did you expect that to happen?
No, but I'm thrilled. I'm really thrilled.
What's your favorite feeling?
What is the word? Rapture.
What does that represent to you?
Kind of melding with the mystery.
The TV show is called The Chicago Code. You can watch it every Monday night on Global Television. Jennifer Beals, everybody. Thanks for coming on. We'll see you next time.